Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. With producer Sana Marie. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Be sure to follow Verbally Effective and Ina Esco on Instagram. Also, download the Verbally Effective podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Don't forget to check out the website and submit to be a guest at verballyeffective.com. Greetings, and welcome to the Verbally Effective podcast. I'm your host, your double E, Ina Esco. You know, this podcast is all about the movers, the shakers, the creatives, politicians, entertainers, those who are contributing to Memphis 10, right? And before we get started, I want to put my Cash App out there so you all can contribute and support the pod as well. That is $Ina Esco, ENAESCO. But we're going to go right into the pod. Today, I have a young lady I have been trolling on social media because she got all the dance moves. When I say that, you're going to learn all about her journey today. Her name is T Goods, and she is a professional dancer, choreographer. She is the owner of TGE. She's going to tell us all about it. How are you, T Goods?
I am good. How are you?
I'm lovely. Thank you for joining me today.
Look,
about time.
We've been working on this.
I know. We've been having a few schedule conflicts, but I am so excited that you are here, and you're actually visiting your hometown, right?
I am. I literally just moved to Atlanta, Georgia 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks?
I know. It's so fresh. It's so fresh and so new. So, yeah, it's like nice to be home, but then it's still weird because I'm like, ooh, I don't live here anymore. Like, okay. Like, all right, this is a visit. This is not I'm not staying
like you got to go back.
Yeah.
When you going back?
I go back Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get into why you moved to Atlanta very shortly. But let's start at the beginning, T Goods. What part of Memphis are you from?
I reside from the east side. East Memphis is where I'm at, good in the suburbs.
Look, the suburb part of East Memphis, right?
Right. Let it know. I started, that Mall of Memphis area and then moved like a little towards like Germantown. So now my parents live out there, so I, kind of rep Germantown too a little bit.
Okay, I got you. Well, tell me about your family dynamic. Are you an only child, sisters, brothers?
Ooh, I wish I was the only child. No. So there is 4 of us. I'm the second oldest. I have an older sister, and then I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And if you see my younger sister, you'll think that it's me because we actually look like twins, like identical twins. Yes. We're 9 years apart, but we look identical.
Ain't that something?
Identical.
Is she a dancer too?
No, absolutely not. No.
Are you the only dancer out of the siblings?
Yeah, I think so. Like, they all can groove, but I'm the only one that's like, nah, like, y'all finna watch me do this two-step.
You got the real groove.
I'm like, y'all about to watch me dance.
I got you. Okay, so tell me about your schooling. What schools did you attend over here in the M?
Okay, so I attended, if we want to get into, like, the dance journey, I started at Colonial. Basically, my mama came home one day and she was like, you are not going to this particular middle school. I don't feel comfortable with you going there.
That particular one.
Yeah, so she was like, you're going to go to Colonial. It's an optional program. She was like, what you want to do, dance, sing, or act? And I was like, well, girl, I can't sing.
Pick one.
And I was like, and I for sure don't want to memorize no lines. I said, so I guess, it'll just be dance. And I went in for the audition, and the teacher was like, I need her. Like, she was like, I need her. She was like, she has to be. And I just remember this lady, like, of course it's like a group of us auditioning, but the lady, like, was sitting over there with her kid. And, I mean, she has her own kid. And she literally turned my mom and was like, your baby got talent. She's going to be a star. And I was like, okay, girl.
And you were how old?
I was, how old are you when you go into the 6th grade? Like
10-ish, yeah.
10, 9, 10.
Wow.
So I tell people all the time, like, I started dance a little late. Like, I was, of course, like, dancing with friends and stuff, but actual training started when I got in middle school. So from there, it was like a crash course of tap, jazz, ballet, hip-hop, and did all of that up until high school. And I went to Overton, which was, the transitioning school, the high school. And I left Overton because I was just so pressed to go to Southwind because it was a brand new school. And I was like, ooh. I was like, I don't have to wear a uniform. Like, I want to go. And my mom was like, no. And I was like, bet, I can ride the bus. She was like, all right, you going to go.
Like, how you going to get there?
And so ended up going to Southwind, and I did cheer for a year. And then I was just like, okay, this is not working for me.
Okay.
And found out that Brandee Evans was taking over the Southwind dance team. I didn't even audition. One of the young ladies actually auditioned that was in class with me, and she was like, I know you can dance. She was like, just come to a practice and let her see you, and then, she'll, we'll figure it out. So they had already had auditions and everything, so I just showed up to the practice and outran everybody, outdanced everybody, and Brandee literally had to quote-unquote make a second audition so that it would seem fair that I was, like, walking on the team. So I don't want to toot my own horn, but, like, I was dancing.
You was ready.
I was good. So,
wow. So your journey in dance, it started at the age of 9 or 10, and it is still going on.
It is still going.
So you went to Memphis.
I went to U of M. I went in thinking that I was going to be a pharmacy major.
Ooh.
I had told my dad, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm finna, I'm going to do pharmaceutical meds. I'm 6 figures. I'm going to have a decent job, all of that. I went to U of M, did my first semester, and I was like, listen.
This ain't it.
This ain't it. And again, somebody was like, hey, just come to this dance class with me. They have them on campus, and just see. I took the class, ended up going right up to the dean's office and was like, so I want to switch my major to dance. And she was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah. And I remember telling my parents, and my dad was like, what are you going to do with dance? Like, what kind of career, is going to, can you have with dance long-wise? And my mom was like, come on now. We always knew she was going to be a dancer. She was like, that's been her
Mama
thing.
planted that seed, though.
She did. Shout out to JG.
Wow. Okay, so you graduate University of Memphis. What was next for T Goods?
So in between of me graduating, I auditioned for the Grizzlies. And I can honestly say, like, as I always talk back on my story, God has always put friends in my life or people in my life to push me. I can honestly say I'm not the pusher. I'm the one that somebody has to be like, go do it. And then I'd be like, okay.
Angels. Let's call them angels.
Right. And so it just happens. But I had some friends that was like, hey, girl, we going to audition for Grizz Girls. You should go with us. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll go. And literally went with them to the audition, and I was the only one that made it to finals.
Out of all
of us that went.
Oh, my.
And it was like the most awkward car ride home. But it was still like amazing because they was like, you was meant to do this.
Yeah.
And didn't even make the team. First time I tried out, didn't make it, and I was like, okay, cool. Next year, let's try again. I tried out again the second year. I made the team, and I did it while in school, and then I went back for what would have been my sophomore year, and I didn't make it back.
You had to retry out?
Yeah, you have to audition every year.
Okay.
And the second year, well, it would have been my second year, I went in, and I can honestly say I went in so cocky. I was so cocky. I was like, oh, this is in the bag. I've already done this. I got this. And when those other girls came into the room, there truly were girls in there that were just hungrier than me, and they were just ready. And at first, I was like so distraught about it. And in that process, my last semester of college, I took 24 hours.
What?
And there was no way I was going to be able to do Grizzlies and college at the same time. So I was just like, oh, God was just like, listen.
Yeah.
You asked for this degree, we're going to get this degree, but we're going to have to put this other dance thing on the back burner. And it just humbled me in a way where I was just like, always go in being a novice. Don't go in just because you've done it one time being an expert. Like, go in still being hungry and wanting your spot. And after that, I ended up dancing 4 years straight, ended up being one of the major faces of Grizz Girls, which then led to me starting TGE.
Wow. How was that whole experience as a Grizz girl?
Oh, man.
Was it all good?
It was all good. It was. It was.
Okay.
It's all good, but it's like so tiring.
Okay.
Because people don't understand that to be a dancer, you still either have to be a student or you have to have a job. So I would literally wake up at 6 in the morning, go to work, leave work, either have an appearance or go to practice and be at practice to 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night to get back up to do it all over again. And now don't say I have a game, because if I have a game, then I have to leave work early because I have to be on court at 4 for practice before the game. People don't even know. Like, we literally practice before the game. We practice the entire game before the game. Then you have 2 hours to get ready. Then you do the game. And then, as, of course, young 20-year-olds, we like, oh, we're going to go get a drink after. So we out.
Just a rigorous schedule.
Yeah,
though.
so it's just like, you have to have time management. Like, you have to have time management, and you miss a lot of things. Like, I can honestly say I missed a lot of, like, family events, but it was worth it because I'm like, man, I'm dancing for 18,000 people, like, every other night. Like, it gets no better than that.
Really, though. How did your tenure with the Grizz Girls come to an end?
So it was going into my 5th season, and when they say you know, you know. When it's time for you to move on, you just know. And I literally, at auditions, I was like, God, I think this is it. I was like, I think it's time to gracefully bow out. And I can honestly say, without like giving too many details, was that everything that could make me feel uncomfortable within that last year made me feel uncomfortable to the point where I was like, okay, it's time to go. Like, it's truly time to go. And I mean, it wasn't a bad experience. It was just I was really understanding, like, when it's time for you to move, you gotta move. You can't get comfortable. And if you say you're ready, God gonna make a way to make sure that okay, I gave you everything that you need.
Yeah.
You got it. Let's go.
Because that was a long ride, though.
Yeah,
like
5
as an
years.
NBA professional dancer, that 5 years, that's a good go.
Yes, 5 years on the team and 7 years of auditioning.
Oh yes. Yes. Okay, so that 5th year, that was that on that, and then TGE.
Yes, so TGE actually started in the midst of me being a Grizz girl. People always think that I started TGE because I actually wanted to teach. I started TGE to move out of my mama's house.
Oh, mama, you hear that?
Oh, she know. So I had ended up getting a job as a teacher, and shout out to teachers. I just recently, resigned from SES. Shout out to SES. Love SES. But I was just like, teaching is just...
What were you teaching with Shelby County Schools?
I literally was teaching dance.
Okay,
I was a dance teacher for Shelby County Schools. And I was just like, oh.
No more.
Yeah, it was great. It was just, I was like, this is something that I want to do when I'm 40.
Gotcha.
Like, not in my 20s. I was like, I want to do this when I'm, settled down. And I'm like, I need something consistent. Yeah, I was like, right now, no, I'm still on the go. I want to move. But I had got a job teaching, and I was like, man, I need to find a way to get this deposit for this apartment. I wasn't getting paid in the summer at that time, so I was like, I need to find a way to get this deposit. And my mom was like, well, do what you got to do. And at the time, I was doing makeup, so I was like, okay, can I do 50 faces to get this? And I was like, okay, that's going to be a lot, girl. You can't do that. So I said, okay, I'll host a dance class. First class, I was like, I'm going to do $5. I was like, God, whoever shows up, they just show up.
It was packed.
It was 65 people.
Okay, deposit.
It was 65 people in the class. And like I said, I only charged $5. So it was literally just enough. And my mom was like, just because you did it and you got it, I'll match you. She was like, I'll match you. And I was like, oh.
Thank you,
I was like, man. I was like, come on, mama. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm done. I got my money, I'm out. And as soon as we were leaving class, everybody was like, okay, so
when's the
next one? And I was like, oh. Yeah. And from there, my mom, like, I kid y'all not, like, my mom is like the Tina Knowles of my life. Like, seriously. She was like, I already got you a studio. She was like, I got, this is what you're going to do. We're going to do paraphernalia. Like, she had the rundown.
Mama mapped it out.
Like, she had it already mapped out. And then from there, I ended up going to Minglewood Hall, and I did, it just blew. It grew. Like, TGE was meant to just be a pet project that turned into literally a career, like a life-changing career. And even now, I still look at my YouTube channel, and I'm like, 80,000 people, like, follow my YouTube channel. And even when people, like, see me out or they say, they like, oh, that's T Goods, I'd be like, it's just Trinica. And they be, like, I'd be like, it's cool. And my mom would be like, you just so humble. And I'm like, I have to be. Yeah. Like, I have to be. But it still shocks me because I'm just like, oh, I'm just some dancer chick from Memphis that just had a dream to just dance. Like, it was just what made me happy. And now it's keeping me afloat. It's keeping me alive. It's keeping me sane. And it's keeping me healthy. So I'm like, wow, like.
Definitely keeping you healthy, honey, because that pandemic, I know, ooh, girl, my tummy. I want to come and do some of them sexy dances. Listen. That's what I wanted to ask you, T Goods. Yes. Do you think when you started TGE, that was kind of the, maybe around the time when a lot of women was wanting to learn the sexy moves? Or did you bring that to the society?
To be honest, I have no idea. Okay, so if I could, like, okay. So when I was Brandee's mentor, Brandee started Hip Hop and Heels, and I always tell people I credit Brandee Evans for who I am now, because she literally she walked so I could run. True enough, but there were just so many things that I was like, ooh, this would be a bomb idea. Like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do this? And it was just like Brandee was like, great idea, but she just didn't have a time commitment for it, which was understandable. And it just became a thing where I was like, man, well, when I have classes, which Brandee did, that's the one thing she taught me. She was like, don't limit your classes to just dancers. Yeah. She was like, every woman wants to feel sexy. Every woman wants to dance. So never go in saying, oh, this is only for advanced dancers. So when people always ask me, oh, is it beginner friendly? I'd be like, no, my classes are open level, meaning if you're advanced, I will give you an advanced move. If you're a beginner, I will modify it for you. There's nothing in my class that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it, if I don't give you, the right tools. So when I started and when I just, like, I was having all these ideas, in which, of course, a lot of people know me for the Bring Your Boo class, which is the lap dance class. It was just, like, one of those things where I was like, man, like, I'm always team guys. So I'm like, dang. What if guys could just come in and just get a free lap dance? Like, how would they feel? Like, it was honestly never about the women. It was never
about the dudes.
It was never about the women. It was always like, dang, this would be like so dope for men to come in and get like a little lap dance, a consensual lap dance.
That's heaven.
I'm like, yeah. And so it literally took off. I remember the very first one that I had, funny story, I had this guy that I was so into, and I was like, he's going to be my boo at my class. He's going to be my seat filler or whatever. He stood me up. And I was like, you jerk. And then I was like, all right, I'm finding somebody else. He stood me up. I was like, oh. I was like, what is it? And so I ended up, like, asking this random guy, and he was like, yeah, of course. I'll come. And then when we get to the class, I'm like, oh, snap. The other ladies don't have anybody to sit in their chairs. And my homegirl, who, Chloe, didn't even know her at the time. She was her first class. She walked to the hookah lounge and went in there and was like, hey, how many of y'all want to get a free lap dance?
Baby, everybody got it.
And 3 dudes just came. Okay. And so that's literally how it started. So now I literally have a standing relationship with Kappa Beta Noops at U of M.
I bet you do.
And literally, I will DM them and I'd be like, we having to Bring Your Boo class this day.
Come on, Noops.
And they'd be like, all right, we sending the Neos. Or if they don't send the Neos, they'd be like, we got some profiles that want to do it. And I'd be like, all right, bet. And not to, toot my own horn, but I had a couple that got married. They met at the Bring Your Boo class and got married a year later.
I know. Lap dances.
I know. I was like, Jesus, when is it my turn? Come on, Jesus, I'm ready. But literally, it was just like, I was like, man, a dance class, like just something that was, again, just something that I was just trying to do to be an adult is helping people. Like, even girls that come to my class, they're like, man, like, it feels good that women of all sizes are in here, that we're all encouraging each other. Nobody's in here like, oh, I'm a professional dancer, I'm finna kill this, and y'all finna look like sloth. Like I tell people all the time, you have a three try minimum in my class. You can come 3 times, and after your 3rd time, you have to be recorded. Like, I don't take no for an answer. I'm like, get your footage so you can see your progression. Like, even if you're not trying to be a professional dancer, that's some confidence where you like, man, look at where I started.
So a lot of them initially are like, don't film me.
No. Like, I have women that will come to class and be like, don't film me.
Like off top.
Off the rip. They will walk in before they even pay their money and be like, I don't want to be recorded.
Just a little insecurity.
And I'm like, that's fine. And I was like, I give you full consent if you don't want to be recorded. And then sometimes I have women that say they don't want to be recorded, and then I see them and I'm like, girl, bye. Get in front of this camera. And then they do it and they be like, thank you. And then they're like, oh, that actually, it feels good to see myself. And I'm like, yeah, like, enjoy you. Like, ain't nobody else gonna enjoy you but you. So enjoy you and be proud of who you are. Like, literally, I'm like, y'all, like, this is a release. Like, release all that negative crap.
It is a release. I love to dance. Now, TGE, how was it affected by the pandemic?
Oh, man, it wasn't affected at all. That's the crazy. Yes, it wasn't. So I ended up doing a lot of live classes, like Instagram live classes, but it worked out because people were booking privates online. So people were like, oh, well, I'm sitting at home. I want to dance, so can I just book a private with you and we do it over Zoom?
Bam.
Okay, cool. And then from there, it became, people was like, well, sis, can me and you just go to the studio with a mask on? And I'm like, don't tell nobody, yeah, but we can.
So it kept going.
It kept going, and then just the YouTube numbers grew even more because people are sitting at home and they just watching. So it really didn't miss a beat. I will say that I was able to rest though. That was the beautiful thing.
Is that something
about
you think you needed?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Sit down somewhere.
I needed to sit down, and like I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm praying for another sit down.
Look, we might have one considering the surging numbers.
I am literally like, come on, you can lock us back down. I'm ready to sit back down.
Okay, I understand. Now, T Goods, what? You're in Atlanta now. How did that happen?
Wow.
Tell me why. You
pandemic.
Left the M.
Pandemic is why I left.
Okay.
Really sitting at home, I was like, man, I still want to dance. Like, I still want to perform. I was like, I want to do a tour. I want to do more videos. I want to, and not even just it, I wanted to eat again. Like, I wanted to be in a room with some dancers that was like, sis, step your game up. Like, you ain't the best here. And I was like, yeah. So, honestly, during the pandemic, I actually was in Atlanta every month. I was driving to Atlanta every month because Atlanta didn't shut down during the pandemic. Like,
at all?
No.
Okay.
Everybody else was shut down.
I heard about
Atlanta. Atlanta was not shut down. Like, not one. They didn't skip a beat.
Okay.
But it was just nice to be in an environment where everybody's just dancing. Like, 2:00 in the morning, somebody hit you up and be like, hey, you want to go to the studio? Yeah.
That's the difference.
Like, yeah, come on. I can't sleep. Let's go. I'm ready. So it was just being in an environment where it still felt like home, but everybody was on their grind to be better. Like, everybody was just grade A. Not saying that Memphis wasn't grade A, but Memphis dancing is up and coming. And Atlanta is already established. So even for me, I was like, when I go, what can I bring back? Like, literally, I've only been in Atlanta 2 weeks, and I have danced more in those 2 weeks than I've had in, like, the last 2 years.
Wow.
So it's like that drive, like that passion is like, okay. It's like I really do feel like I'm in middle school again. Like, I'm learning everything all over again. I'm learning new parts of my body. Like, you know, of course, things didn't move the same way. You know, like, things are like a little jiggle now. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
A little jiggle,
like,
well, girl.
like, oh, okay. But it's just this energy of everybody's hungry and everybody's eating and everybody's like, let me push you to be a better dancer. So it was just like, man, I was like, I gotta be submerged in that environment. So right now I'm just enjoying being a student again. Like, I'm not trying to teach in Atlanta. So many people have asked, like, when is the first TGE class in Atlanta? And I'm like, it ain't time yet.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's not what I'm doing right
yeah. I'm like, back up, mind your business. Like, let me be a student again. So now, it's just nice to start over.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It is. Well, I am so proud of you, lady. I have been following you for quite some time. When you do get the TGE classes back together in Memphis, or come and do a special thing, I would love to come and get my body,
Yes. Come on, get your body yada yada on.
Yes. Now, I'm gonna send you out, but before we go, I want you to let the verbally effective audience know. Give them some positivity, some advice. They may be wanting to do the very thing that you're doing in this dance field. They may want to do a class, or they may just be wanting to go after their passion, something that they love. They want to be a student again in whatever field they're in. What advice do you have for them?
Take the risk. Take the risk. Even when everything seems to be going against you, if you know in your heart that that's what you're supposed to do, take the risk. Like, the risk is going to always pay out in your favor. Just take it, and do it fearlessly. Just be like, hey, I'm going for it. Whether I fall or not, I'm going for it. And I promise you, God going to catch you.
Amen. T Goods, give everybody your social media platforms and how we can get in touch with you.
So, of course, TGoods8. That's my Instagram, TGoods8, TGOODS8. YouTube channel is Trinica Goods. And if you want to go to the website, it's thegoodsexperience.com, and that's where you can find me.
Well, thank you so much, beautiful.
Thank you.
You are indeed an inspiration, and I wish you the best of luck in Atlanta.
Thank you so much.
I know you're going to tear it up out there. That's right. I have choreographer, professional dancer T Goods in the building with me today on Verbally Effective. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode. That Cash App is $, Ina Esco, ENAESCO. I'll see you guys next week.